do that so we keep the reference from that standpoint, because we want to hear from our wonderful panelists. So we want to make sure it's for all time and eternity and posterity's sake. All right, so agenda housekeeping items. We'll go to our Marketo shorts, which is some tips and tricks. And then we'll get to the main event, which is the panel discussion on real world usage of the new Marketo UI, which I'm sure everybody's jumping on board for to kind of get some insights on. And we'll kind of have that discussion. And then we have some drawings, and also some polls along the way, and then we're drawing from a perspective. So that's kind of the plans for today. Really quickly, just here's our house rules. Obviously, feel free to ask questions. It's collaborative. I think everybody here that's been around with Andrew and I for a while, you know that we're very open and want to hear from everybody. So everybody's opinions and thoughts are welcome, and insights and perspectives, and we're all here to help each other out. So we appreciate everybody participating today, as well as our new ones, as I mentioned before. All right, so some upcoming opportunities for the MUG members. If you're interested in applying for the new Marketo Engage Champion program, the applications end this Friday. I think it's technically 11:59 Pacific time, but you know, if you want to stay up to that late, get your application in, great, go for it. So if you have any questions, you can email the advocacy team at Adobe, which is Kevin Lau, who's doing that as well, but there's the application link. If you have any questions about that one, feel free to reach out to myself and stuff. I can kind of give you some ideas and thoughts, but it is this Friday, so in a couple of days. Then, as you know, just like everything else these days, and Andrew is very aware of this one from the family search standpoint with Roots Tech, which is going completely digital as well, all online. The summit is all online too next year. So feel free to look for more information and details about that one. Still have not heard if they're charging for it or not. I don't think that they are, but I don't know for a fact. So continue to read some more information about that one when they get that ready to open up. That's going to be sometime in the spring time frame. Because we're all virtual, there's an opportunity to go and visit other MUGs throughout the country and the world if you really want to adjust your time schedule to do that. I know that like, was it yesterday, Ian, right? You were at the San Francisco ones yesterday? Yeah, so Ian, I saw Ian was on San Francisco and I was on that one as well, and a couple of other ones. It's kind of fun to kind of hear some different perspectives and thoughts, so it's kind of interesting. And then if you missed any of them, there is a meeting that happens the very first Tuesday of every month, which is basically a recap of all the MUG meetings, which is hosted by Michael Tucker, who's the virtual MUG leader and manufacturing MUG leader. That he kind of hosts from that standpoint. And I think he's joined with us today as well. So anything else, Michael, you want to say about that?
No, it's the first weekday of every month. Love to have you guys. Trent, you're on our panel this month, and we're really grateful for you. And Andrew was on last month, and all the other MUG leaders. So it's a good way to meet other MUG leaders and kind of get to learn about topics that maybe you want to be able to learn about, to go back to the recordings on YouTube and kind of catch up with them.
Yeah. So it's a great way to try to get a quick hour and change flyby of all the meetings and kind of go back in. And most of them are recorded this time, as well as what we're doing as well. And most of them are posting up onto the YouTube channel for the Marketo MUGs and stuff. So feel free to take advantage of that and participate and watch those, and if you missed them along those lines. All right, so something that you might all be familiar with, if you have any needs of email templates and landing page templates, everybody's probably familiar with NAC. They were a sponsor 3 months ago, but they just recently launched or released, should they say, the collection of over 50 of their premium Marketo email and landing page templates for free. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's they use a charge for this actually, so it's pretty incredible that they've opened it up. So if you are in needs of solid, good landing page and email templates to use to modify and adjust, here's your chance. There's a link there, so we'll send that out as well. But I thought it was really cool and might be appropriate to let people know about that one. So if you're struggling with email templates or looking to build your own or trying to figure out how these, all these modular type of elements or responsive email templates work, Next did a wonderful job of doing that. And so here's a chance to kind of get ones that are built and created and tested and usable. So take advantage of that. All right. And then obviously today, we are giving away 4, not 3, but 4, I tell you, 4 $20 gift cards provided by Marketo. So we'll be doing those drawings at the end of the session, and we'll do our drawing wheel from that standpoint. Okay, so we're going to jump into our Marketo Shorts, which is the quick tips and tricks. And then I think we're going to do a poll right after that one, right? Andrew, right? Okay, perfect. So this is just some things that you may know, or you may not know, or you may have known and forgotten. I was actually having a quick Slack chat with Michael today, and basically he's like, "Oh yeah, I just feel bad because we're out all these experts, and like we're all learning." So it's just it's one of those things that it's kind of on an ongoing basis. So here's a couple of tips and tricks we'll go through really quickly, and then we'll get into the main session. So the first one, not sure if you know about this one, but there's a cool little export field tool in your field management area under admin, your field management, but the ability to export a list of all the areas where that field is being used in your Marketo instance. So if you're like, okay, I know many of us have struggled in regards to understanding, hey, where's that field being used? Or I need to, quote unquote, archive it or hide it. In Marketo's world, you have to find out where it's all used at, and to remove it from the standpoint, sometimes it becomes a challenge to track it all down. Well, this fun little tool here, or this fun little feature allows you to do that, right? So just go into your admin, your field management, you select the field, and then select the drop-down list from the actions from under field management, and look at the export used by, and then export it into a CSV file, and then pull it up, and voila, you have a list of everywhere that field is being used at. Pretty cool little feature. Second tip. It's kind of funny, actually, Ian, you'll probably recognize this one. This is the one actually I had as well, but it's around tokens. So if you're trying to keep track of your UTMs and parameters, UTM params, you can actually use those in tokens instead of trying to remember where they get placed in all your assets, your links, and your particular assets, and in your programs and stuff, and your links. Here's a chance to actually just build it out into the program, and there's the my UTMs, whatever, or my UTM 1, 2, 3, 4, however many you want to have. But you can actually add that as a token and the value on your link at for those assets. Now, one thing you have to remember though is that make sure that you have to include the HTTPS / before the tokens. I heard that Marketo's supposed to be changing that, but right now they haven't yet. So make sure you do that. But it's kind of a nice way to kind of maintain your consistency on your UTM parameters, and or really, if people kind of complain or not complain about it or along those lines, they're not kind of remembering, this is a great way to do that. So it's a nice another little tip there. And then I have a nice little bonus tip. This one is actually kind of a fun one that I use all the time. So date operators. So if you understand Marketo, when you start trying to do the in, past, before, after, future, thereof, before somebody else's birthday and the sixth month of the year, or whatever. I mean, it's just kind of crazy in regards to look at date operators. So here's a chance. Here's a nice little graphic image that I've used, and kind of I keep handy just to understand where some of these timing parameters work at when you start looking in your smart lists or your filters or structures along those lines from that standpoint. So hopefully try to minimize the confusion a little bit, but there's also a whole list of them of additional definitions out here on that URL here that Marketo has provided from that standpoint, some tables and some definitions about some of the different operators from that perspective that help you out to be a little bit more, make it easier to try to remember. So try to remember off the top of your head all the time. So those are kind of the 3 tips that I have. So hopefully those are usable and helpful to y'all. And like I said, we'll actually be sending this out, and also with a link as well to everybody. But hopefully those are some good tips. All right. Once again, so for those that have recently joined us, we're going to be doing some polls here. So Andrew's going to get ready to pull that up in a second. But just for everybody, if you pull up your browser, go to slido.com, type in the event ID, M as in Mary 513. And then by doing that, we're going to you'll be logged into the Salt Lake Mug event, and that's where we're going to be doing the polls and the Q&A. So I'll do that one, and we'll give everybody a couple of minutes to do that, and then when we're set, Andrew, I'm going to stop sharing, and after actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this. I'm going to kind of combine this. So after you do this one, we're going to jump into our real world usage of the new Marketo UI. So we're happy to have panelists of Sam Watkinson from BambooHR, McKell Cousins from Pluralsight, Ian Shields from Artemis Health, and Andrew will be our moderator. So after we jump into these polls, Andrew's just going to take it from there, and we'll move straight forward from there into the panel and talk about this new Marketo UI that we've all heard good, pro, bad, and uglies about. So with that, once again, here's our online polls, and feel free to jump in. And Andrew, I'm gonna stop sharing and give that time back over to you.
All right, thanks, Trent. I appreciate it. I always appreciate the Marketo shorts that Trent does. I learn something every single time. So even though I've been working in Marketo for 10 years, longer maybe, I don't know. I feel old. Anyway, like Trent mentioned, we've got some polls here. So I'm put this up on the screen here for you to kind of take a look at and see. If you haven't yet, you can join there, slido.com. Make sure to put in the code M513. If you're feeling lazy like me and don't like putting in codes, you can just use the QR code there that's on the screen, and that'll do that there. So we got a few polls just to kind of start out things. We always like to do polls because they're fun. They give us a chance to have a discussion, and it also kind of breaks things up so it doesn't feel like Trent and I are just talking at you the whole time. So although it's nice to listen to Trent, not so much for me. But anyway, so first poll should come up on your screen there. So if you've logged into the website, you should be able to kind of respond to this one. The first one is we want to know if we should do a December event. In years past, Trent and I have kind of sold out and done these just overwhelmingly huge, really intense, big December events. We've had hundreds of people come to them. Marketo usually comes out to them and they send the brass, and they've been a lot of fun. But of course this year that's not been the case. That's not going to be the case. So which is really sad, because quite frankly I really look forward to those. So but we want to know if we should do one, and see if you guys would be willing to attend. And apparently a couple of you are not, so that's good to know. But yeah, just give us your thoughts on that, and let us know what you think on whether or not we should attend. And don't be shy if you're sitting there and being like, well, I don't want to respond to this. Just, it's okay. Like, don't worry about it, right? Just come in and go ahead and make your.
It's anonymous. It's anonymous. Okay, come on.
When you totally say December event, you mean like the big in-person event? You mean like an online?
Oh,
yeah, you want to make sure.
Just an online event, right? Because like we were kind of well, not kind of, we're more than a little disheartened that we don't get to kind of pull off our big event this year. And so we're like, well, should we just bag it and just not do anything and let everybody kind of have their December? Or, is it nice to kind of get together and have just a regular mug meeting? We're going to try and make it a little special this year. It's not going to be kind of the same grand things that we've done in the past, but just
I think you could do something like that. Why don't you put a Christmas light on every square inch of your house, like Chevy Chase and National Lampoons?
Right, and I'll come prepared with my Red Ryder BB gun for everybody to use.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, good. We appreciate the feedback. Looks like 60% of you said that we should do it. 27% say maybe, and 13% say no. So for those of you who said no, I totally understand. I kind of feel that way at times myself. So, but anyway, so that's really helpful for us. So thanks very much. Appreciate that. A couple of other polls we want to run here. Just for fun, what's the best Thanksgiving side dish? Turkey is obviously the best and the best part of the Thanksgiving meal. At least I think so. So tell me, what is your favorite, or what is the best Thanksgiving side dish? This is for science, so please be honest.
Now, mashed potatoes, that's assuming you got gravy with it, right? Andrew.
Right. Well, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Plain mashed potatoes. Now, here's the secret. If you don't know, this is cooking with Andrew here. If you don't know, and if you want to make your mashed potatoes super creamy and super interesting, instead of using what you want to do is you want to obviously use a little bit of butter and a little bit of heavy whipping cream to kind of give it the creaminess, but use about maybe a third, maybe a half, depending on how many potatoes you have to make, of cream cheese. Whip it into there, and it really makes the mashed potatoes nice and tangy and creamy and interesting. So there's your Thanksgiving cooking with the Andrew tip. Okay, so it looks like everybody, 44% say, or 42% now say mashed potatoes.
Well, you sold it.
I did. I totally did. And then stuffing after that. Okay. Well, those are my two favorites. So I'm glad to see Brussels sprouts getting a little bit of love there at 11%. That's great. That's my favorite vegetable, especially if you do them right. Don't boil them, roast them. If you boil them, I will come to your house and make you real Brussels sprouts. All right. So favorite Thanksgiving activity. What do you guys like to do on Thanksgiving Day? So, for me, it's basically eating cookies or eating turkey and cooking. I do a lot of cooking for Thanksgiving. So, but what do you guys like to do? Drinking? Yeah. Okay. I understand that. Okay. Watching football. Everybody seems to be watching football, cooking, drinking,
Nice.
eating just about anything. Yeah. Okay.
I like that.
Right. Sleeping. There's nobody that's saying that they're going to argue with relatives about politics. Good for you guys. Staying above the fray there. Okay. So not too bad, guys. Not too bad. Okay. Watching football, and then pretty much a combination of eating and drinking. So that's apparently what we all like to do on Thanksgiving. Okay. And still no one is arguing with relatives about politics. Good for you guys. Okay. Well done. Well done. All right. Last poll here for today, just to kind of kick things off, and then we'll move into our panel discussion. So how are you celebrating Thanksgiving this year? Obviously, with COVID, there's a lot of different changes and that here in Salt Lake, or here obviously here in Utah, we've had a lot of mandates around who and what we can do, who we can go see and what we can do. So let's hear it. How are you guys planning on spending the holiday? In the woods.
In the woods.
Good for you. Whoever said that, 14%. Good for you. 7% by myself. Do you guys want to come over? Like, I'll cook.
Yeah.
It's fine. 73% at home with your immediate family. Okay. All right. Not too bad. Nobody spending it with friends or in a restaurant or traveling out of state at all? Okay. All right.
You guys been on a plane since it happened? I don't know. Does anybody travel anymore? Is that a thing?
I've been on a plane twice during the pandemic and been just fine. So I had to wear a mask obviously the entire time, but it was just fine. So did I fear for my life during that time? Maybe a little.
Did you have to wait in line to get your seat? Like, how was it getting in the luggage racks?
They do it they usually board you by zones, right?
Yeah.
The zones were just a lot. There were more of them and less people per zone.
Okay, yeah.
So it's, instead of 5 zones with, 30 people, it's 10 zones with 7 people, right?
Nice.
Or 10 people. So anyway. All right. Well, good. I'm glad we were able to do that. So go ahead and keep that open. If there is, we're going to show the Q&A here. So if there are questions that you want to answer or have answered by the panelists as we talk and discuss, go ahead and put them in here in Slido. We'll answer any questions that you have there. As Trent mentioned, you can also put those in the chat if that will be helpful or easier. But either way, we'll get those questions answered for you. So I'd like to go ahead and move into our panel discussion. We've got our 3 expert panelists here, Sam, Ian, and McKell. So Sam, Ian, McKell, glad to have you guys in here. Welcome. Glad that you guys could join us. why don't we give you guys a chance just to take a minute and introduce yourselves, and then we'll jump right into the questions. I'm just going to go in the order that I see it on the screen. So Sam, why don't you go first?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Sam Watkinson. I'm one of the marketing operations managers over at BambooHR. And for those you don't know who we are, we're a HR technology software company out in Linden. So yeah.
Glad to have you here. Ian, how about you?
Hi, my name is Ian Shields. I've been doing marketing technology for about 10 plus years. Currently work at a health technology company called Artemis Health. Been in a few different other platforms and glad to be here.
Awesome. I'm glad to have you here. And McKell, tell us a little about you.
Hey, I'm McKell. I work at Pluralsight, a tech learning company. Been in marketing for about 6 years, and yeah, love Marketo.
Awesome. Well, we're really glad to have you guys all here with us. So, so thanks so much. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen real quick. But if you guys have questions, like I say, don't hesitate to put those in the chat. So let's go ahead and get started. Guys, how did you guys find out that you were moving to the new UI? McKell, I'll start with you on that one. How did you find out that you were moving to the new UI?
It was the first time I logged into the instance. I'm pretty new at Pluralsight, been there for about a month. So first time I logged in, it was at the new user interface, and so happened to be the first day that it had changed over.
Okay, so you got thrown into the fire quickly.
Yep.
Yeah, very nice. Ian, how about you?
For me, my customer success manager let me know like it was coming down the pipe. I try and stay involved and active, being a beta tester for Marketo. So they just try and give me the heads up.
Okay, very nice. Okay, so you got a heads up. So we got one person with no heads up, one person with. Sam, you want to break the tie?
Yeah, kind of in the middle. I attended a mug. It was a different mug. I think Trent was there as well. But they had the Marketo team on there actually doing an overview of when the UI was rolling out, and had a ballpark estimate of when we were going to get it. And then one day logged in and it was different. That was about it.
Sure enough, there it was. Yeah, I don't know how that
Yeah.
goes. Yeah, so so if you've moved to the new UI, congratulations. If you haven't, it will probably just descend upon you from on high. So so just be aware that it's probably coming at some point. But wanted to ask you guys kind of a little bit broader strategic question first before we kind of dive into some of this technical stuff, and that's this. In your guys' opinion, why is the UI being updated now? You know, what's the purpose of this particular upgrade? McKell, ladies first on that. Why do you think that's the case?
I think because of the new acquisition. I mean, it's been over a year, but because of the purchase by Adobe.
Yeah, totally. Sam, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely Adobe's kind of pickup. I think they're rolling out a lot of new products into Marketo, which are going to reflect Adobe's kind of normal UI that we're used to seeing in like Photoshop and InDesign, things like that, which is why the UI pretty much looks exactly like those products as well.
Yeah, totally. Ian, thoughts on that?
If you look what Adobe's done with Omniture, which is now Adobe Analytics and even Magento, right? They're just they're aware of their brand. They want to bring everything into one house. And I think it's overdue for Marketo to do a change. So I think that's why it's going to happen. I appreciate that they are taking a cohesive approach to it.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I agree. I think having that cohesive approach across all the Marketo, across all the Adobe products will be good for certainly for everybody. I remember the old Omniture interface, and yeah, I think I prefer the new Adobe ones, the analytics ones now. So, all right. Well, so let's dive into a little bit more of the technical stuff here. Let's start with the positives and negatives. What do you like about the new UI, and what do you dislike? Ian, let's start with you.
First, right off the bat, I always lose the tab, right? If you have hundreds of tabs across your screen, you can't find it. All of a sudden, it'll just be lost in your collection of tabs. Positives, I mean, it looks cleaner and simpler, but the negative is if you are using icons, the colors as your landmarks, those are gone. So it's like if you're driving around and you remember it's a big oak tree that you used to take a right at, that oak tree is gone. So kind of a negative there for a lot of people who are relying on those icons. That's it for me.
Okay, fair enough. McKell, what about you? Positives for the new UI and negatives as well?
Yeah, positive, similar to Ian. I like how clean it is. It's definitely Adobe-fied, which I like. I, again, think it's just long overdue. Some of the negatives, I would say, is the UI isn't updated across the board. So if you're going to view a landing page or edit an email or anything of that sort, kind of on the right-hand side of the screen where you see dashboards, you still kind of see the purple and the old Marketo look and feel, which I know that's due to come down the road, but that is kind of one of the negatives. You're kind of like, oh, am I in the right spot or not?
Right. Some of those landmarks have certainly been moved and changed and even diminished, and that's been really hard. I agree, to kind of see how things go through. Sam, how is it for you? What's been good? What's been not so good?
Yeah, I mean, echoing what mostly everybody else has said, it is getting used to a different layout, different color scheme, things like that. It's hard when Marketo hasn't changed its look and feel in the past 8 years to go to something brand new. But with that said, I mean, it is cleaner, it's a little more organized, and there were really small UI and like user experience improvements that came along with it, like creating a new smart campaign. When you create it in a folder, it actually goes into that folder. It doesn't propagate up to the program level and then you have to move it around again. So yeah, little tiny things like that have been nice. But otherwise, it has been just a bit of a change to get used to the new iconography and the new color scheme.
Yeah, that whole change where you can actually, where the smart campaign actually shows up in the folder that you want. Like, I know that's a total first world problem, but for me, it's just like, come on, guys. Like, how hard is that to make sure that I want it in this folder? You know, all of us in marketing operations, a little bit, I would imagine, a little bit hyper organized, because obviously we have to be. So, yeah. So for them to do that, I think you're right. That's a really good fix. By the way, guys, if you have your instances open and you want to show anything or share anything, by all means, feel free to pull those up and kind of share with the team. If there's something that you want to point out to everybody, would love to do that. So as you're kind of moving into the new UI, we've talked a little bit about, you know, kind of the cleaner layouts, and that's been good, but also some of the iconography has been changed and landmarks have been moved, and that's been kind of a negative so far. Is there anything that's really surprised you about the UI? Something that either you weren't expecting, or something that really kind of stood out to you that was like, oh, this is either this is something new that I didn't think that they were going on, or a gotcha maybe that you weren't prepared for. McKell, why don't we start with you on that?
Perfect. Yeah. I kind of had a gotcha moment for some reason, because the tabs are across the top now. The admin tab wasn't showing up for me. So I had to go in, click on my name in the top right-hand corner and go to view my account to get to the admin tab, but it's showing up now. That was just kind of a moment for a week where it wasn't showing up for some reason.
Always got to love those. How did you guys get that resolved?
It just showed up one day. I just kind of refreshed and logged in, and I never reached out to support or anything. I just figured it would show up one day.
And there it was. Interesting. Yeah, funny how those little software glitches will get you. Ian, how about you? What did you? Anything surprised you? Anything kind of got you about the new UI?
The gotcha that I've heard from a few different people on, just asking about their experience with the new UI, but not something I've come across, is when you have a program folder and there's a lot of subfolders underneath that, sometimes those won't all populate. So if you're used to seeing in your lead scoring program a lot of these other subfolders, make sure that, like, if you're good with like maybe a number order, or you know what they should all be there, if it's not there, refresh and make sure they all pop up. If they don't, make sure you reach out to support.
Okay. So those programs and folders and stuff, if they don't end up showing up, have you seen that actually happen where they haven't shown up even after a refresh?
Hasn't happened to me, just a few people talking to. That's a gotcha that they've come across, and just let other people know. If it's not there, refresh. If it doesn't pop up, make sure you reach out to support.
They've been able to kind of fix some of those things as they've reached out to support. If that has been a problem, support's been able to kind of do that. Okay. Hey, for
Yep.
them to lose programs, that would be the worst. Yeah. Okay. That's both of those really good tips there. Sam, how about you? What surprises or gotchas have you had?
Haven't had too many on our end, not the UI. We had some performance issues come up, which aligned right when the UI launched on our instance. Basically, like, list uploads were taking 20 minutes, half an hour to finish processing, just general slowdowns of program processing. So whether that has anything to do with the new UI, I am not sure, but we basically got support involved, and they ended up fixing it and ended up getting us some more processing power on our side of things. So if you are running into that at all, it may be tied to the UI, but something to bring up with support.
Okay. Sounds good. Have you guys we've talked a little bit about support here. Have any of you guys had to reach out more than once or twice to support? And if so, has the experience been okay? Has it been good? Have they been responsive?
Yeah, I mean, they've been pretty helpful. I think since Adobe acquired them, they've been a little bit better in the past couple months than they were in the past few years. Yeah, a little faster response time. And I think you get the Adobe muscle behind that, and the support kind of got a boost on that end.
Yeah, I agree. McKell, Ian, any thoughts on that?
I haven't had to reach out yet.
Okay.
Fingers crossed I don't have to.
Right. Knock on wood on that one, right? So.
All right, Marketo support is been at their current standard for so long. I'm just used to going on to forums on Marketo Nation, looking at the problem, going on to Mop Pro Slack group, asking others, and if it's like dire need, I do have a consultant that I can reach out to deal with specific problems, because I'm just a one-man band, and sometimes I don't see the solution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a similar song, I think, for all of us, right? We've all gotten really good at reading documentation. And by the way, the MOPS Pro Slack group, if you're not part of that, you should be. And that's a great place to go and get help on lots of different marketing automation platforms, Marketo especially included. It's a good collection of groups out there. I know many of us are there, but if you're not, reach out and we'll get you the link for that. I want to go back to the iconography thing discussion. A lot of you have said that that's one of the biggest changes and one of the hardest ones to get used to. And we've talked about that being kind of, these being landmarks or roadmaps. So what have you done to manage through that particular change? How have you kind of either gotten used to the new icons, or how have you kind of managed through that? Sam, let's start with you.
Sure. And actually, let me just share my screen out too, because for all the people that don't have the new UI, might be helpful for you to actually see what the UI looks like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So yeah, this is kind of what it looks like now. I mean, nav bar up at the top here, you've got this kind of grade scaled look and feel, and then these are the new icons, or at least a group of them. So gone are things like the yellow light bulbs and the blank light bulbs, and then a little timer for batch campaigns. So it's all come to these light bulbs for smart campaigns, and they have these little tiny different signs on the left here inside green circles or non-green circles.
Hey Sam, can you zoom in on that green circle? Can you zoom in a lot more?
Yeah, this is already zoomed in, so we're going 150% now.
Yeah.
All right. So this is one of the issues. All of these little signs are very small, very hard to tell apart from one another. Whereas you could open your folders in the past and at quick glance see what's running, see what is a batch campaign. see what's turned off. It's a little bit harder now. So you have to kind of hover over, and then it will pop up what the different things are. Like has run, no upcoming, so that was just a one-time batch. Here you have a triggered campaign that's inactive. This one's active. And yeah, that's just been a little difficult to get used to. There's also different icons for, let's see if I can find some lists. There we go. Yeah, so icons for your static lists, icons for a smart list with a little funnel on it. But once again, it's just hard to tell the difference between the two. So kind of something we've had to do change wise is just get the marketing team up to speed on what these different icons mean. Getting them aware of the change that kind of came and how everything's going to look a little bit different moving forward. But other than that, it's kind of just hover over if you're not familiar with what's going on, and just confirm what the campaign is actually doing.
Let me follow up on that with Ian and McKell. Guys, how about for you guys? What's been some of the things that you've done to kind of manage through this change?
Ours has been really similar. The hovering has been really nice. I think that's a good feature that they have, just so they don't completely change it on us. Then you have to go into the actual flows and see kind of what the campaign's doing.
Okay, so essentially just spending some time with each of the icons hovering over, kind of understanding that. McKell, I'm curious, as you've gone through and done that, has there been anything that in terms of the verbiage that they're using to describe certain activities, has that changed at all?
I don't think it has, because they'll even have one of the filters I've noticed when you hover, it'll say like campaign is requested. So I feel like they're actually getting pretty specific as to what the campaign's actually doing.
Okay, terrific.
Keeping the verbiage the same.
I think that makes a big difference, right? If you can keep the verbiage somewhat similar, then certainly the icons can be a little bit, you can actually get the context that you need to make those icons worthwhile for sure. Ian, how about for you? What have you done to kind of manage through the iconography change?
Yeah, here, let me show you. I'll share my screen and also answer the question in the chat about moving, clicking, dragging folders.
Yeah, thank you. While you're doing that one, you can just post it. If anybody has questions, feel free to jump in and ask, and or post on the in the chat. Just I don't know who Digital Events is, but thank you for the question. So
so what you'll notice different from my view than from Sam's view is a gentleman in MOPS created a Chrome extension. It's called Marketo Chrome extension. Gives me just a few more colors and options here that I've been playing with a little bit. So you can change the colors or some smaller items. Been starting to play with this. And if you need to create an asset here, we're just going to do a test here, smart list. There we go. It shows up. It's currently in the wrong place, right? Just kind of sits under local assets. We want to move this smart list. Let's put it onto reports, just for the heck of it. Yep. There you go.
Easy peasy.
You can't click and drag at all in here. And I would say what's helped me is I didn't rely heavily on the iconography at a high level. So make sure that you have your naming conventions down. I always rely on the state format to do the order. And if it's with a partner, I can always look up a partner because I know who they are, HRCM. And I can find it that way. So
yeah,
I would say if you still have to do a lot with the icons with like, is it a trigger campaign? Is it a batch campaign? Is it a schedule campaign? You still want to look at your iconography, but at the high level, if you can, get your naming convention down so this is easier to navigate. Because even at the global search, it'll pop up the campaign, not necessarily people. Okay. You'd think I'd have a Bob in my database, but I don't. So this global search is going to help you more with your campaign. What's another example? There you go. That's with Success Fuel. Okay.
Great. So that's a couple of good tips there. That Google Chrome extension. You know, Ian, if you can put the link to that, I think we'd all like to see that or probably get that. So if you can put the link to that extension, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and I have that in the deck as well. So when we get this posted and stuff, the links will be there as well. So yeah, it's a fun little extension that Adrian's doing it out of the goodness of his heart for some reason. So.
I've got a couple of questions that have come in from the chat. I want to take a pause here and just get to those. So how do you move things into other folders now with Ian? I think you just showed us there. And they got rid of the click and drag feature. I think that's a pretty big deal that's not there anymore within the new UI. Sam, McKell, Ian, what do you think? Is that going to be gone forever, or do you think that'll make a return at some point?
Yeah, I mean, Marketo said it's coming back sometime early next year. So they are going to bring it back. It's just gone for now. Why they deployed it without drag and drop when they're going to bring it back in 6 months is beyond me, but that's why I don't work at Adobe, I guess. So yeah, it is coming back. Okay.
Good. So at least it's coming back, but at the same time, we're going to have to get used to that kind of move functionality. So. But some good thoughts there. You know, making sure that you kind of see your, you know, the verbiage obviously that gets used within each of the icons. You want to pay attention to that. Download that plugin. Looks like that'll help with some of the color issues, and then also make sure that your naming conventions are well organized. That's always the best practice, but in this case, naming conventions will really help with the global search, and that should help you navigate through the new UI. Stephanie here.
Hey, Andrew, we have another question on the chat.
Yeah, go for it, Trent.
The person, Christina, has asked, has anyone had any colleagues with the red-green color blindness express having issues with the new UI? Does anybody have anybody that... Sam, you're shaking your head, yes or no?
No, I haven't.
Is anybody else?
I haven't had... No, I haven't had challenges with the color blindness. My big thing is, as Sam showed, these tiny icons, the little green ones, are super tiny. And even if you work on a larger screen or an external monitor, you're zooming in, as Sam showed, it goes from like tiny to not as tiny.
Right, less tiny.
Yes.
All right, well, in the last few minutes we have, I want to wrap up with one more question before we get to the wheel of giveaways. And that's this is, you know, let's take just kind of a quick look into the future, into the crystal ball here. So based on you guys' experience, I know most of you have been, you know, looking at working in Marketo for ages. And so how does this new upgrade, how does it lay the foundation for further upgrades? You know, what else do you think is, based on this, what else do you think is coming in the next 12 months? Ian, let's start with you.
In the next 12 months, as I shake my crystal ball, I see a future where Marketo is more friendly to approach.
Say more about that. What do you think that will entail?
So first-time user of the platform will get in and it'll seem a little more intuitive, so you can understand, okay, this is where my emails are going, this is where integrations are happening, this is where my field mappings are going. You won't be as overwhelming to even set up a webhook or some more complicated integrations and understanding data flow with field mapping. I think it's going to be easier. I'm not sure if it's going to be to the level where HubSpot is as far as usability and friendly, but they're going to start making some really good progress.
Awesome. McKell, how about you?
I'm going to echo a lot of what Ian said as well, but also with the back end, I really think Adobe will take that back end. I know there's some lagging issues currently, but I think Adobe will definitely optimize all that and make all that flow a lot better.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think in both you guys have mentioned kind of that accessibility that makes a big difference. And Sam, how about for you?
Yeah, I agreed. And I mean, we know from Adobe some of pieces of Adobe's like InDesign, Photoshop are getting put into Marketo directly. So it's going to be an easier photo editing, easier probably email design and manipulation as well. So hopefully, yeah, it's just more of a user-friendly software as well, but also on the power user side, which like a lot of the people in this group are, there are tools they've already rolled out. Like, share my screen one more time, which just came out recently. Things like looking at if you're in the admin panel, you can come to the Salesforce and look at sync status and actually see all of the Salesforce syncs and how the objects are syncing back and forth and any errors that are coming up. Like I have a lot that are going on here, which I should probably look into at some point. But yeah, so on the power user side, I think there's going to be a lot more coming in with visibility into the data flows and how it's moving between different systems, which has been a huge blind spot for a long time. And I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, just in my own crystal ball, the way I would look at this is that I think this lays the foundation for a more cohesive integration policy with a lot of different things, right? Not just Salesforce or Dynamics or what's in the App Exchange or the App Store, but across different across any type of web property and data property. I think this is really what we're starting to see the foundation being laid for that more holistic view. So I would agree with all of you guys. All right, well, I think that's all the time we have for now. Sam, McKell, Ian, thanks so much for joining us and providing your insights, sharing your instances. Really, really helpful on that. If you guys have questions, still feel free to put them in the chat. We'll try and get to those as what we can. But for now, I'm going to turn the time back over to Trent, and stick around even for the next 4 minutes, and you could win $20. So don't go anywhere for a minute.
Andrew, is it okay if I ask a real quick question?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
This is Rachel. I'm on the digital events account. Sorry, I don't have my own Zoom, so I have to use that one.
No
I do not have the new interface on my instance, but I have noticed just in the last month or so, all of my images in Design Studio, in the landing pages and the emails, they aren't displaying anymore. Is anybody else having this issue, or did I maybe do something to my account?
Interesting. Anybody else?
Yeah, hi, this is Kana. So I had a similar issue, and so we reached out to Marketo support, and they said it's a Chrome update. So it's blocking, like if your instance isn't secured, it's blocking unsecured images. Does that make sense?
Okay. So do I
Yeah,
just need to update Chrome, or?
Yeah, so there's something in your settings where you can add like the base URL so that it doesn't block the unsecured images.
Okay, I will look into that.
Yeah, if you want to give me your email address or something, I can forward it to you, the steps that you need to take.
Okay, that would be great. Who is speaking?
This is Kana.
That was kind of.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll chat you my email.
Yeah, no problem.
Ian, looks like you've got a thought on that too.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great point. Like, we're all coming across challenges and changes that happen. As Sam said, Marketo support is getting better. Please use that feedback portal that they have set up. Either upvote existing feature requests or create your own. Either way, be active, be engaged. That's the best way for us to help this change and evolve, because they won't know unless we give them feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're like, oh, this is a silly little thing, put it in the feedback. Let them know, hey, I hate the color. The icons are tiny, right? Upvote those other ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know they are listening. I submitted an idea, got upvoted by a few people, and the customer team responded. I know they're doing stuff about the iconography, and they're going to address that. So yeah, they are listening and making changes either on the roadmap or pretty quickly.
Agreed. All right, Trent.
Yes, sir.
Show me the money.
Show them the money. All right. Show them the money. Now, if your name's called, just quickly, hopefully everybody has my email address, but if you don't, pass it in the chat with your email address so we can get these gift cards to you. So I think I have everybody here. So Rachel, I did change digital events to your name. So there you go. So we're good. All right. First $20 gift card. Show me the money. Kyle. Congratulations, Kyle. Way to go, my man. All right. So yeah, shoot me your email address there, Kyle. All right. So that's one. We're down 3 more. Odds are getting better or worse. I don't know how you look at it. So. Oh, Ian. Nice. I have your email address, Ian.
Thanks, Trent.
You panelists for because you're all members, right? So there you go. All right. Down to the last 2 here. No. McKell. That Michael Tucker.
Almost had 2 panelists.
All right. Down to the last one. Come on, spin the wheel. Come on, spin the wheel. Hey, give me that. Need a letter A. And this Miss Fellini, Jody. All right, congratulations, Jody. So thank you, everybody. So that was great. So we appreciate everybody participating today. If you like, as I mentioned, if you want to didn't sign up, just let me know. Shoot me an email. Make sure we get you signed up from that standpoint. But we once again, I want to iterate what Andrew said. But thank you to McKell and Ian and Sam and stuff for your insights and perspectives, and we appreciate this. So hopefully this has been a good kind of a good conversation and assistance and help out from that standpoint, and kind of give you some insight. So any other last words, Andrew?
No, I agree. Just thanks everybody for coming, and appreciate it.
Great. Well, it looks like based on our poll, we're going to have a December event, so stay tuned. And Andrew, I have some ideas, so we'll see kind of how we can make kind of a fun, exciting one, different from the other one. So even though we can't get together. So thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. And if we don't talk to you before then, have a great Thanksgiving holiday.
Thanks, everybody.
See you guys. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
You, sir.